This is a short story which backs up if you're thinking about marrying your girl. If you think that she's the one, even though there's really no such thing as the one, but you want to marry her, it's a very good idea that you move in with her ahead of time just as a final test as best possible to see what she was really like. Because you may find out that after moving in together and she develops a sense of certainty, all of a sudden you discover your girlfriend, who's so amazing, is a closet tyrant. Her way or the highway, you find yourself maybe walking on eggshells around her, which you shouldn't, but you may find yourself doing that. The ICX comes to a screeching halt, and you realize, holy crap, I'm not going to marry her. But meanwhile, when you were not living together, she was an angel, amongst many other things this guy is going to discover. Titled, Am I the a-hole for moving out of the house and breaking up with my girl on the phone after she explicitly said, I want you to understand that we are done, and storming out of the house? And shout out to Nishad for sending me this story. He says, my ex-girlfriend, a 28-year-old female, and me, a 32-year-old male, lived together for 10 months, and we were in a relationship for 3 years total. The relationship was good. We had minor issues and discussions, like all normal relationships, and after 2 years, we started living together. I'd really like to know what his definition of good was, given what we're about to hear here. That's when stuff started to not be minor issues, but extremely bad arguments that always ended in the same way, not being talked about. Huh? Did he just say that after they moved in together, all of a sudden, things got really bad? All of a sudden, she didn't want to talk about things? Just argue and yell and scream? So she's a horrible communicator, and the tyrant is unleashed. He says, our first issue. Our mothers did not get along very well. They started really friendly, going out on trips together, and to the mall, stuff like that. But then all of a sudden, my mother, let's call her Lily, said that her mother, let's call her Paula, was a bit intrusive and did not want to keep seeing her. Here we go, drama with the future in-laws. Now, I was put on a bit of a weird situation where I had to explain why the sudden disappearance. So in my mild panic, I just thought of telling the truth, having confidence that my ex would not overreact over this. Well, I was wrong. Nothing was ever the same between my mother and my ex. They did not hate each other, but it was weird. So, yeah, there's a stereotype about your mom not getting along with your wife or girlfriend and that type of shit, and there's degrees to this crap. I'm sure maybe some of you guys have experienced this, but if it's outright not getting along, that's a problem. Unless if your girl really is a good one and your mom is just being an asshole, then you can handle your mom and say enough's enough. But if your girl has her issues and your mom has her issues, this is not going to work. He says, like 3 weeks ago, after we moved together, an argument broke out about what we were going to do for Christmas. Paula had left Lily to invite her so we could all be together, but something that was lost in the telephone game, and Lily thought she heard that this may have been an ex inviting her, not Paula. Well, I mentioned that to my ex, trying to tell her that her mother should not be saying that, and all hell broke loose. Well, I'm having a hard time with all these fucking names, but the bottom line is there was drama over Christmas. She said that my mom was always trying to tear us apart and that she never liked her and pushed me hard into not spending Christmas and New Year's with my mother. I complied. Smack. Oh, okay, here we go, Mr. P-whipped. And it was the worst Christmas I ever had because my mom was sending 300 messages per second saying I was being naive and manipulated. And on the other side, they were saying that she was manipulating me. I just bottled up trying to survive the December holidays in hopes that we'd be enough time together that would cool it down between them. So here he's trapped between his girlfriend he thought was nice before, and she's an a-hole, and his mom and her are fighting, all this drama. This is not going to work. Second issue. I really don't want to make this a bad thing, but maybe it's something I could not handle. But she's a doctor going through her residency, and this is a career that demands everything from you and everyone around you. When she was home, she was always tired. Our time together at home basically consisted of falling asleep after dinner while watching TV. I had no issue with this because I could go and play video games, but the problem is after a while, this gets a bit annoying since that's all I was allowed to do. He just said that's all he was allowed to do. Our guy's P-whipped, and he's allowing himself to be P-whipped. And guess what? Women don't respect guys that are pussies. They don't stand up for themselves. And notice he mentioned they moved in together, and all of a sudden, she's in residency, she's a doctor. They never do anything together. She's tired all the time. I get it's demanding, but still, I don't think that was the case before they got moved in together. But once they moved in together, here we go. He says, if I wanted to go out and play volleyball, she would say jokingly, you should stay with me and we could do something together, which evolved into, maybe you should not go to volleyball at all. It's a problem. If I wanted to go out with my friends, she'd get a bit mad at me, even though I always invited her and was always writing me about when I would get home. Then I'd say 9 p.m. and it's 10 p.m. and she'd be like, where are you, etc. Until she would not answer the phone anymore, at which point I knew she was mad at me. It would be an argument when I got home. Well, this guy's a fucking moron. He's staying with her. I mean, his idea, in my opinion, that things were good before they moved in together, obviously they weren't that good. This guy doesn't have a lot of experience, or he's just used to dating girls with drama. Does this sound like good girlfriend material to you guys, or good wife material? No, she's an asshole. But this guy's also an asshole too, because he's letting her boss him around. He's complying, or all these other things that... You think bad boys would ever do this? No. Third issue. So sometimes these arguments happen. She would attack me with the same line. This is why we're going to break up. Oh, so now she's keeping you on eggshells, threatening you with a breakup if you don't listen to her and obey. If we talk about having kids, which I do not think we are prepared to do, I'd say I'm open to the idea, but not now. She would say that she wants them right now, and 2 of them. And when I asked who's going to take care of them, she'd say my parents, of course. My mother was not included in this list. She was never allowed to set a foot inside our house again. But when I started to make other arguments, that's when the line was used. This is why we're going to break up. Marriage. Maybe until you finish your residency in 3 years. Nope. If you don't propose in the next year, we break up. Living in the suburbs? Nope. I really like the city. I'd like to stay here, or at least close. No, this is why we're going to break up. So I started not talking about these fundamental issues because it was not an open negotiation. It was her way of breaking up. Well, dude, you keep staying with this woman, it's your fault. She's an asshole, but guess what? Again, women don't respect weakness. And this is why, if you're going to get married to a girl, you think that she might be the one, you move in with her, see what she's really like. Because moving in with her, sadly, gives her a certain level of confidence in the relationship. And when women have too much certainty or confidence in a relationship, if they're assholes and they don't respect their guy, that's really when the bitchiness and tyranny comes out. You can all hear in this. Can you imagine being married to this broad? And she's an a-hole, we can all agree, but guess what? So is he. He's a pussy. But don't worry. Now the final issue before what happens. She's always been a bit insecure. Shocker. All female friends I had to cut ties with. All new girls in her life, or mine, were bitches by default and wanted to take me away. So, of course, I caught her checking my phone for the 4th time, and she obviously found a conversation with a female friend that she had told me that she did not want talking to me. I was not even a damning conversation, but of course she lost it and called me all the names in the book and angrily told me we were done. That I should leave the house because I was the one texting other girls. She then got ready and was ready to leave the house and told me again, and I quote, I want you to know we are done. I told you I did not want you talking to other girls. We are completely and absolutely done, and stormed off. Oh, she's a wonderful one. Well, I agree. If you guys are in a relationship, yeah, a guy shouldn't be hanging out with other girls or talking to other girls, but there's a difference having ones you're acquainted with versus like actually hanging out with and texting. Same thing, she shouldn't be hanging out with other dudes, but and talking to them, but you can see here she's fucking psycho. So am I the a-hole for taking her word and leaving? I think all these issues I described came all back. The ones I could not negotiate, all of them became a solid no in my mind, so I left the house. She called me 4 hours later that night saying, how could I do this to her? Leave the house and just leave her there all alone. That she was just venting, and that, of course, she was going to come back to have a conversation with me. Well, I explained to her that I could never tell her anything because I was walking on eggshells all the time, trying not to upset her, and getting the we are breaking up for this line, and that I just took her word for granted. She said we were finished, and I assumed that that was what she wanted. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole for a lot of reasons, but you're not an a-hole for leaving her. You're the a-hole for walking on eggshells around. No man should walk on eggshells around anybody. And no couple should walk on eggshells around each other. That's not love. That's not a positive thing. But this whole thing is an ugly fucking mess. And by the way, she's a doctor. God, I feel bad for anybody that she operates on or assists or anything like that. God almighty. But anyhow, bro, she's an asshole. She's a control freak. She's her way or the highway. She's a tyrant. Well, you got to discover this, at least by moving in with her. Well, now's your chance to redeem yourself. Walk away and never look back. Period. Don't fall for her threats, her tears, any of that type of stuff. Really, is this a healthy relationship where anytime you stand up for yourself, she says we're going to break up, or she won't listen and she wants to yell and scream and throw tantrums, and she tries to control every aspect of your life, unless that's what you want? No. So if you go back to her and continue this, you are the total a-hole, and you deserve everything you get. But gentlemen, you can see here, this is why if you're going to marry him, you got to do that final test moving in. Now, there are guys that moved in with their girl, and everything seemed great, and they got married, and then the tyrant came out. But usually, if it's a substantial time living together, her true colors will come out, unless she's like a fucking master. As well as, guys, when a woman they have so much certainty that you're not going anywhere, they think that they have all the power, and you act weak. This is some of the things you can expect. So, guys, remember this. For you relationship guys, listen to this guy's story. Grow a pair. Stand up for yourself. Never walk on eggshells around a girl. Never going to respect you. And, well, there you go. So, this is definitely an important one for you relationship guys.